Welcome back everyone. As you probably guessed from the title of the video as well as the thumbnail, we are talking about this weapon light here today from the folks over at Streamlight. This is a relatively new offering from them. I've had it since before it was actually released, and we have put a few thousand rounds on guns with it mounted on there. So we definitely tested it out to make sure that it works, and I can announce right now the light itself does work. There's some other things that might not be so great that we'll talk about here at the end of the review, but what the heck is it? Well, it is this guy right here. It is the ProTac Rail Mount HLX Pro. And basically it has some lineage in a light that I reviewed last year, which is this guy right here. This is the ProTac 2.0 Rail Mount. And essentially when this light came out, folks said that they wanted what was this light, which didn't exist at the time. So for those who don't know, the Rail Mount 2.0 here, this one is roughly 18,000 Candela and 2,000 lumens. And what that means is it has kind of like a flood, a very floody beam. Now 18,000 Candela is nothing to sneeze at, but for a light of this size, a lot of folks wanted more Candela. And basically what this light did is it changed a couple things, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But this one is 1,000 lumens, but it is 50,000 Candela. So it is a much throwier beam pattern versus the earlier one. And a lot of folks wanted that for their rifle lights, especially when you look at competitive options that are out there from Surefire, Cloud Defensive, etc. But they still wanted the budget price point. Mosquitoes are biting me if you guys can't see that on camera. But they still wanted the budget price point that these lights offer versus those competitive offerings. So Streamlight listened and they came up with this particular light right here. Basically, there's a few things that are notable about it. Number one, it does come with the mount. It comes with a tape switch, and this is like a 45-degree M-LOK mount, which is nice. It also comes with a 1913 mount. Tail cap here has a clickable portion here. The light is 10-tap programmable, as most Streamlight lights are. So you can have it the way it comes from the factory, which is high and then strobe, or you can have it high-low, or you can have it high strobe-low. You can program it however you want. I actually have a video from about 10 years ago now up on the channel. If you guys want to learn how to program your lights, check it out, and you can laugh at how terrible that video is as well. But basically here on the tail cap, we do have our plug for the tape switch, which we ran throughout the testing here, which again, we will get into here in just a second. And then we have the button to actually actuate it, and essentially just pressing and holding, but not clicking it in is going to give you momentary, and then to click it in will give you constant. You can actually remove the battery cap here, or end cap, I guess you could say, which is knurled. It is O-ring sealed, and it does come with lubrication on the threads there as well. So you can go ahead and put it underwater. It will be just fine if you do so. And it comes with this battery right here, which is their SL-B26. And what's cool about it, number one, is it has a lot of power, as you guys can see from the specs that are rolling in here on your screen, but it's also USB-C rechargeable. So you can have rechargeable batteries, and Streamlight does sell extra ones of these on their website if you guys want to buy extras for whatever reason. But that is what's powering this 1,000 lumen 50,000 Candela light. Now, I'm sure longtime viewers of the channel know that I don't really like to do comparison videos, and I don't consider this to be a comparison video, but I will take a second to compare these two lights because I'm sure there's a lot of people looking at these that are trying to decide between the two. Of course, the beam comparison will tell you a lot here in just a second. Now, before I do that, I do want to thank the new channel sponsor here, and that is Brownells. They are not new to all of you out there, I'm sure. I've been working with Brownells for years and really happy that they came on board as a channel sponsor. They obviously, for folks who don't know, sell all types of stuff. I'm sure they sell this light, guns, optics, ammo, and gunsmithing supplies as well. So definitely check out Brownells. Now, back to the actual lights themselves. Two big differences. Number one, they both have that tail cap there, which one thing that's nice about both of them are obviously different tail caps. But one thing that's nice about both of them is that actual button is shrouded by aluminum on both of them. So that is a smart design. Both of them also allow, of course, for the tape switch. The tape switch for both of them is identical. So if you have one tape switch, you can use them on both. So there is that. Like we showed earlier, this one here has a rechargeable battery. However, the RM 2.0, you actually pull the little shroud down here on the light and you can recharge it via a USB-C. You can also recharge it via USB-C on the battery itself. And of course, this one also comes with a Scout mount. We have it mounted up there with the Magpul mount though, because that is the last configuration that we were using it in. And a few things are different. So the head there, as you guys can see, is longer on this one here. And typically what that tells you is that it has a deeper reflector, which typically is going to give you higher Candela. However, in this case, it's the exact opposite, which is interesting. I'm not sure if the engineers just figured something else out, but that is a big difference. And then additionally, as you guys can see, the tail caps are different. This one obviously is a little bit larger and weighs a little bit more. This one's a little bit sleeker as well. So with that comparison out of the way, let's wait for the sun to go down and check out the beam comparison of these two lights. For the new folks to the channel, if you're watching on a computer, I recommend turning your monitor brightness all the way up. That will represent as close to what I see here with my human eye as possible on your end. Should note my camera is in manual, again set to as close to what I see here with my human eyes as possible. Of course, there's always a little bit of a difference between the camera and real life, but we're as close as possible. So with that, you guys can see tonight the moon's about half full, so we have some natural illumination out as well as just ambient noise, light noise from the neighborhood. So right there, the spot there where the wood fence meets the iron fence is approximately 30 yards away, and you guys can see those trees in the background. They're anywhere from 35 to 50 yards depending on the actual tree, and the output that you see here is from the HLX Pro. So obviously that's 50,000 Candela. You guys can see there that hot spot at this distance is kind of washing out on camera, but I can tell you in person it is very intense. It's nice and tight, but the spill there is still pretty wide. There you see the edge of the spill, and there's still a little bit of illumination coming off after that, but not much. It falls off pretty darn hard after that. To contrast that, here we have the RM 2.0, again, right around 18,000 Candela, but 2,000 lumens. So more lumens overall, a little bit less Candela. You guys should be able to tell that hotspot is a little bit more diffused, and as is the actual flood. The flood's probably 10 to 15% bigger. However, outside of the flood, like the little edge that you guys see there, right there where the wood fence meets the iron fence, you still have a little bit of illumination after that, maybe another 10%, or 10 degrees rather, I should say, of illumination there. So to compare it, again, this is the RM 2.0, and then that right there is the HLX Pro. So very different hotspots. Of course, both of these lights are putting out great light, but in 2024, we just have great options for that. So again, the HLX Pro and then the RM 2.0. Once again, for the new folks, we're about 10 yards back on my property, and then shore to shore here, the lake's about 110 yards across, and then 10 yards beyond that is a fishing shack there where my neighbor puts a lot of his equipment. So we're going to focus on that here to kind of show the difference in terms of throw. First up, we have the RM 2.0, again, 18,000 Candela, 2,000 lumens. Note here on my property there, we have that rosemary bush, and it is illuminated pretty darn well. But when we zoom in there on the shack, that's about as close to what I see here with my human eye. So if somebody was standing out there, you would easily be able to identify them. Depending on what the item is in their hand, maybe you could identify it. You could definitely tell something was in their hand though, for sure. But note as we back out how well it's illuminating the trees and things like that around it, as well as the grass on my property and the rosemary bush. Now to contrast that, there is the HLX Pro. So you guys can just see there with all the water vapor in the air, it's a much tighter beam going across the lake. And if we zoom in there, you get a lot more detail. So very likely, if somebody was holding something in their hand, I'd be able to identify what it is unless it was something really, really small. However, as we back out there, note that the trees around there are much less well illuminated. Still have the rosemary bush and the grass being illuminated on my side of the property, just not quite as well. And again, RM 2.0 here, and then the HLX RM 2.0, just more of a wall of light for sure. And then the HLX Pro, definitely more Candela, more intensity on that shack. Now that y'all have seen the beam comparison, I'm sure most of you out there have come to the conclusion, as I have, that these are both very high output lights. However, this one here is going to give you better reach if you want to, see something at distance, or if you're indoors or at a closer range, if you want to temporarily blind someone, which absolutely can be an advantage in a gunfight, particularly a home defense type of gunfight for the civilian application. And then of course, if you are like law enforcement or military, if you just want that throw for certain searching capabilities or for engagements at longer distances, this definitely would be the guy that you're looking for. Really, why would you want a higher lumen and less candela, less flood, or excuse me, more flood? The reason would be like if you want to see everything around you and have more situational awareness. So for example, if you are in like a huge warehouse that's like 50, 60 feet high and 200 yards wide, that wider, floodier light may be better in terms of just seeing all the different things that could be out there in the dark, and the candela might not be what you need for that application. So there's definitely a place for both, and honestly, both of these lights would work well for most folks out there. Again, if you look around the landscape of weapon lights, say 10 years ago, there really wasn't a lot that was even coming close to 20,000 candela, and now to get 50,000 candela really is kind of cool and impressive. It shows you really where the technology is going. So speaking of that technology, let's talk about it. One thing that is definitely a downside of this light, and not just this light, in my opinion, it's the downside rather of any light that takes a tape switch. If you guys have watched my light reviews over the years on the channel, you will have seen multiple broken tape switches, and me talking about why I don't like tape switches, and me talking about the fact that tape switches are the weak point in any type of weapon light. Well, guess what? That was proven true again here today. Now, I should note the tape switch did work 100%. We never had any issue with it not working. I, as you guys saw, had it wrapped down with that camo tape because that's what I like to do when mounting these types of tape switches. But I just wanted to test it and see, maybe this one will be awesome. And I'm sure many of them are, in all fairness. But like I said, it worked every time. When I was just taking the tape off prior to filming this review, I noticed that the actual switch had come apart into multiple pieces. Now the tape was holding it in place, as was the actual zip ties that it comes with to attach it. Now Streamlight has a pretty good attachment system. That definitely is a good thing. It has two 1913 pieces that go together and this slides into it. So that was probably helping keeping it together as well. But when I took it off, this is what I was faced with. So 4 different pieces of tape switch. Now, like I said, you can quite literally, I reversed it. Right now, if I mount this on the light, not sure if my mic picked that up, but it is still clicking, it still works, it is still functioning. However, this obviously isn't what you want to see. Now, I'm sure if I emailed or called Streamlight, they would send one out immediately. And I should note, I think people should infer this because I've had this light since before it was announced, but Streamlight did send this out for the review, but they don't get to see the video before anybody else or anything like that, or impact what I say. And as you can see, if something breaks, we show it to you here on camera. So for me, I personally would recommend running this light and just focusing on the actual tail cap in terms of function. Now, if you just need a tape switch for whatever reason, it's good that it comes with it. But I just don't trust tape switches after using them for, I guess, at least 15 years now with, literally hundreds of thousands of rounds. They just tend to fail at a much higher rate than weapon lights do. So with that, what do I think of this weapon light? Well, one important factor that you have to consider with the Streamlight offerings always is going to be price point. So the performance that you guys saw out here today and that you have seen for years from Streamlight products on the market really is impressive for the price point. So I think the MSRP on this is like $159. Don't quote me on that. However, you can find these all day for under $150. So when you compare that to the other competitive offerings like the Surefire Turbo, the Cloud Defensive lights, those are all, or the mod lights, all of those are $250+. So in terms of price for performance, these lights really are kind of hard to beat. Now, compared to like some of the micro scouts and things like that, the light is a little bit bigger. However, again, when you compare it to this guy here, it's much smaller and much more, I think, manageable in terms of size and weight for most folks who are thinking about mounting it on a weapon light. Would I recommend this for home defense if it fits your budget and your use? Absolutely. Again, just not with the tape switch. There's a reason I say that in all these videos, and it just keeps happening over and over again, and it's regardless of brand. I've had Cloud Defensive switches break, Surefire switches break, Streamlight switches break, O-Light switches break. Switches break. It's kind of how it works. If you guys haven't gotten that point yet from me. So with that, guys, that's pretty much all I have for you on the light. If you guys follow me on all my various social media sites, you guys will know that, like I just said, it comes in stock regularly for under 150. However, very often it is even lower than that. And I post those early whenever they come in stock over at my social media sites here on your screen. Additionally, if you guys like this type of video and you're not subscribed, you can hit the subscribe button. It's free. And if you hit that and the notification bell and you're not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel, then YouTube is censoring your eyes from my content. Easy way to get around that is to sign up for the email at the website here on your screen. This email goes out once a month and it has all the videos since the previous month's email went out. So that way, again, there's no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content because it goes straight from me into your inbox and all the videos are right there for you guys to click on. Additionally, I was talking about deals. We have our daily deals email as well. You can sign up for that at the website here on your screen. As the name indicates, it goes out every day and it has 8 of the best deals that we find around the internet. If this thing goes on sale, it will be in the daily deals email, as will be guns, ammo, other accessories, magazines, etc. If the item, whatever the item is in my email on that particular day, it's the cheapest I know of because I've already done the price comparisons for you. So that way it saves you some time and hopefully saves you some money as well. And with that, we'll close it out. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you in the next video.